I want to, in this lesson, show you how to use a 3 and 4 point lighting setup to take a space like this and turn it into something better. Now we're getting somewhere. This is a 4-point lighting setup. I want to talk about 3 and 4 point lighting setups, tell you how they work so that you can understand how you might use these tools during your production to support your story. I'm going to turn all of them off except my key light here, and we'll turn them on one by one as we talk about them so you can see exactly what they do. So 1 second. Now I'm only lit with what is called a key light. The key light is your main light on any set. And your key light's going to do at least 3 things for you. Number 1, it's going to be one of your main lights to help with exposure. If I'm low on light on set, one of the lights I go to is my key light. The second point, which is kind of the most important point, well, they're all important. The second point is this. Your key light really shapes the emotions of your scene. The distance, the height, the angle, the diffusion or lack of diffusion, the intensity, all of those things really affect what your audience is going to feel. So when you step into any scene and you're starting with your key light to light, or you don't have to start with your key, but your key light's going to be the one that shapes the shadows on your actors' faces and helps the audience feel a certain way. For example, let's say you have some kids sitting around a campfire and they're telling ghost stories, right? Well, the fire is the motivated light source, and so you could take a key light and shine it up on their faces to expose them correctly and to give that kind of creepy flashlight in the face look, which goes along with the emotions of that scene. Now let's say it's a couple at that same fire and they're roasting marshmallows, but they're falling in love. Well, the creepy firelight isn't going to work for the emotions of that scene. So what would? Well, maybe some soft, cool light coming down on them from the moon. Or maybe one of them brought a lantern, and that's another way you can experiment with lighting. So as you can see, just with that simple example, the way you light that scene drastically affects how the audience is going to feel. So that's what you need to think about when you light your set. Now, one classic way to light that I want to mention is called Rembrandt lighting. If you know Rembrandt, famous painter, and look at this painting, something he was known for was putting this little triangle of light on the shadow side of the subject's face. And you can mimic that, and you'll see this lighting a lot in movies. And you do that basically by putting the light at a 45-degree angle from your subject, and then just above eye line. And you can get that little swatch of light like you see in the paintings. And sometimes that's a great way to light your actors. So the key light typically hangs in a 30 to 60 degree angle. That's not a rule. You can do whatever you want. But you'll see when you change that angle, the shadows move around a lot. And when you change the height or even move it closer or further away, that affects the softness. The height affects how it looks. So all that to say, you need to take time with your actors to see what looks good on them and what supports your story at that moment. And then the other thing a key light does is it gives you what's called a catch light. So what's a catch light? Well, check out this shot from Reckoning. See the light reflected in her eyes. That is the key light, and this is called a catch light, and you always want this. It's a pro look, and it gives life to your actor's eyes. In fact, Pixar even puts that light in their animated characters because without that, the eyes seem dead. But put that light in there, there's life, and so that's what you want. So your key is wildly important. Exposure, the emotions, the emotional ride, supporting your story, and then a catch light. Got it? Now, opposite your key light is what's called a fill light. And the purpose of a fill light is to work with the shadows on the shadow side of the face. Now, I mentioned this in the last lesson, but your actor's face basically has a key side and a shadow or fill side. And the difference is called lighting ratio. So if this is like 4 stops brighter and this is 1 stop, it could be a 4-to-1 lighting ratio, stuff like that. I never use that terminology on set, but just so you understand what's going on. So your fill is optional. If you're shooting a noir thriller and some detective is out in the alley, you may not even want any fill. You may want really dark shadows over here. But let me turn on my fill. I'm just using a bounce board for my fill, and let's see what that can do. So we've got our key, and then the opposite side of that, we've got our fill light. The next light is the light behind us, and it's called a backlight or a hair light or a rim light. Let me turn that on. See how that hair light or that rim or backlight separates me from the background and just it makes it easier to see me, gives a little more dimension, etc. Now, with a training video like this, I can throw all these lights up and make it look however I want. Check out this shot from Reckoning. My key light is behind the oil lamp, and the oil lamp's my practical light, my motivated light. And then behind my actress, I have a window with a silk over it to make it more diffused. And then I have a fire in the fireplace. And so those practical light sources are my motivated light if I wanted to add a hair light to give some more separation. And then sometimes the window itself is going to be bright enough to do that, or whatever light you have behind them could provide that separation all on its own. But you have the motivated light if you wanted to add more. And again, these aren't hard, fast rules. Don't be formulaic. If you think you can add a bit of a rim light to make something look cool without showing what the motivated light source is, then go for it. It's okay. But just as a general rule, your audience needs to not be confused. And so if you just shine light from somewhere and they don't know what it is, it could confuse them. That takes them out of the story, and that's a fail for us as filmmakers. So this is a 3-point lighting setup. We've got a key light. Opposite of the key, we have our fill light. And then behind us, on the same side as the fill light, we have our backlight. Backlight, hair light, rim light. Now, for this set, a 3-point lighting setup could be fine, but with all this black back there, since it's dark in here right now, I think a background light helps a lot. It adds more dimension. So I'm going to go turn that on. Now this is starting to look complete. We've got a key that's providing exposure. It's giving me the emotions of my scene. It's giving me a catch light in my eyes. We've got a fill light that's helping me with my lighting contrast ratio. We've got a backlight that's giving me some separation, some more depth to the scene, and it just feels better. Now, during production, you're not going to use all of these lights for every scene. You step into a scene and you think about story first. What's happening in the scene? What do you want your audience to feel? And then begin with your key light and figure out how to accomplish that. What height, angle, what type of diffusion, what intensity, so many things with your key will affect everything. And then, do you need a fill? You may not. You may not need a backlight, or maybe a backlight would be great. For example, I saw a shot from one studio film where they had a key. It was a shot like out at night or something, and the actor's face was lit up on this side, had a ton of dark shadow here, and then they had a backlight, a rim light, just giving a bit of rim on the edge, and it made the shot so much better than if they had just used a key. But again, that light typically needs to be motivated, but that's easy to do. If it's outside in an alley, the audience just needs to see a street light or anything like that. Or if it's on a street, we just know there are street lights. So don't be too formulaic. Don't confuse the audience, and that's the biggest goal. Entertain, don't confuse. So if you think you can get away without having a motivated light and have a cool look, that could be okay. Use your own judgment. And then something else with lighting, besides intensity or distance, like our background light here, something else that can create some cool depth or a cool look to your scene is changing the color temperature. So if right now I'm lighting myself at 5600K, and so if I go back here and warm my background light up and kind of go, if you're familiar with the color wheel, if you go to the opposite color on the color wheel, you can create some cool effects. And you might see that, or you will see that in some studio films. In fact, let me go do it so you see what it looks like. There we go. We see that's a little bit of a different look, and you could go more extreme with that if you wanted to. So just keep in mind that experimenting with lights is good. You want to guide your audience on the emotional journey. You want to serve all of the work that you've put in development and pre-production. And your lighting is one of the largest parts of production that you need to give attention to. Got it? Key light, hugely important. Fill light on the opposite side. Backlight, hair light, rim light, background light. 3 and 4 point lighting setup. And listen, if you are new to Write and Direct, we are an online film school for directors with a guarantee that you cannot find anywhere else, okay? Here it is. If you are someone passionate about writing and directing your own films, and if you commit to working through the 4 modules in our school, development, pre-production, production, and post-production, and if you commit to doing the assignments that you're given, then you will write and direct a film from idea through end credits during the training, a film that you can put on IMDb, a film that you can submit to film festivals. If that does not happen, you will get a full refund on your tuition. And as a bonus, we'll get on the phone and talk to you about what you should do to pursue the craft of filmmaking. It's an unbeatable guarantee for exceptional training that teaches you how to make a movie from start to finish. But not only that, it prepares you for life after graduation. I really hope to see you in the school, but if not there, hope to see you on the channel very soon.